So in this video today, I'm going to show you how to calibrate the D-beam on your Roland Handsonic. If that's something you're interested in, stay tuned. So this right here is my custom-made live looping rig. And on my live looping rig, I used the Roland Handsonic to produce all of my drum percussion sounds that I then loop into my Boss RC505 loop station. Now the problem is with the way my rig is built, you can see right here, we have a metal aluminium bar that is running across the support struts for the keyboard and also the loop pedal. Now on the Roland Handsonic, this overlaps the D-beam feature. So with the default calibration and setup, it meant my live looping rig is actually triggering the sample on the Roland Handsonic without me doing anything. Basically, my live looping rig is playing the drum pads itself. So I had to recalibrate and find a way to recalibrate this D-beam feature so it was less sensitive and didn't have such a large range on the spectrum for triggering the sample. So in today's video, I want to show you how you can also set up and calibrate your D-beam feature on the Roland Handsonic for your setup solutions. So in order to calibrate our D-beam on the Roland Handsonic, it's super duper simple. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So on the Roland Handsonic, in order to activate the menu to calibrate the D-beam feature, we have two ways to access this parameter. Now I'm going to show you the long-winded process first, and then I'll share with you a shortcut. So if we click the menu button in the top right corner, you can see it takes us to the menu where we have all of the different parameters we can explore. Now, if we just use the arrow keys and scroll down to the system option, and then we click enter, this is then going to take us into the system settings. And you can already see we have an option down here called D-beam settings. So if we scroll down and then click enter again, this will bring us to the D-beam calibration menu. Now, if you don't want to go through all of those button presses, you're going to love this shortcut I'm about to show you right now. And that shortcut is super simple. We're just going to exit out of the menu. And what we're going to do is we're going to hold down Shift, so the button down here, and then we are going to click the D-beam button. And you can see it takes us to the exact same parameter settings that we just accessed by going through the menu over to the systems settings and then scrolling all the way down. A lot quicker for accessing this on the fly. So you can see right now, my D-beam settings are probably slightly different to what yours are, especially if you are running the default calibration settings. So I have set my minimum value to be about halfway on the actual unit. So you can see when I hover my hand over, it has a little progress bar to indicate how much of the D-beam is being activated. So my minimum value is about halfway. So if I hold my hand halfway on the D-beam, it's going to eventually trigger once it passes this threshold. So now it would be triggering, but below this, it will not be triggering. And then at the top of the calibration, we also have the maximum. So this basically just means if I cover up the entire D-beam, it's going to do a maximum trigger on our D-beam. So this will determine whether it's a quiet sample, a loud sample, whatever you are triggering basically on the unit. So the way that we can calibrate this is we just simply hover our hand over the D-beam until we get it to the progress position that we actually want to set it to. So you can see the maximum's lower and the minimum is higher. So we can go quite high. My hand is pretty high right now. Hopefully you can tell on the camera, but we could now set the minimum value like this. So I'm happy with it being here. So now we'll click this middle button to set the minimum, and you can see my minimum value has now changed. And we can do the same for the maximum. So I can make the maximum just slightly lower there. So you know the maximum will be triggered at a much higher height. And then we can do this until we fine tune it. Now I'm actually going to move this back to exactly how I had it, because if you remember back to when the Roland Handsonic was on my rig, I explained to you that I had that aluminium bar up above the D-beam on my live looping rig, which was basically automatically triggering the D-beam without me swiping my hand on it. The actual live looping rig was triggering my samples just randomly on the actual unit. So we're going to reset this back up while I remember where I had everything set up. So I'm just going to set my maximum value to the maximum, and then I'm going to set my minimum value to about halfway. I think it was around this sort of 50% mark like that. So I'm happy with that. So if you want to learn more about using your Roland Handsonic, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel because I upload 3 videos just like this one every single week. So if you don't want to miss those, also turn that notification bell to on so you get notified when I upload them. But if you've got any questions at all about your Roland Handsonic, let me know in the comment section down below and I will be sure to make a video if I can find the answer. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I've been Ben Rowlands and I will see you in the next one.